Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank IEA World Congress 2021 for giving us this wonderful opportunity to make a presentation here and for our session called Future Design. Let me start with my introduction. My name is Rajendra, and the title that I'm going to present here today is Does Being Intergenerationally Accountable Resolve Intergenerational Sustainability Dilemma? So let me give you an overview. So today I will basically discuss about the background and the motivation for the research. So background and the motivation. Okay, let me first define what is intergenerational sustainability dilemma and why we need a mechanism such as accountability. So as a definition, accountability, the intergenerational sustainability dilemma is a situation where the current generation chooses to maximize its own benefit without considering future generation, compromising intergenerational sustainability, where communication among generations cannot be made. Opposite to that, a situation where current generation choose to sacrifice for considering future generation, maintaining intergenerational sustainability. Means, if current generation sacrifices something, sustainability can be achieved through this definition. That is clear. Okay. Next, the current generation affects future generation, but the opposite is not true. This research addresses ISDG by introducing a new mechanism. And I will also explain why we need a new mechanism. Okay. And the new mechanism that I would like to discuss here is called intergenerational accountability. And we have done that through conducting an experiment. Okay. Looking at the past literature, Chowdhury et al. 2009 find out the communication such as advice enhances intergenerational coordination. Similarly, Hauser et al. 2014 find that voting can promote sustainability for intergenerational among for the common goods when a majority of the people are pro-social. In the same line, there are several literature which also focuses on the communication, right? So such as Corporatal, Charnes, Bloom, Ottman, Ambrose, and Clifford and Harris, they all did several types of experiment to find out how communication is effective tools for facilitating a coordination within a group. Means intra-group coordination increases with the communication. Similarly, Bustin et al. And Casson et al. 2012, 2017, they find out that communication else the coordination failure. So when there is intra-group communication and when people are given the inter-group competition game, people cannot cooperate in inter-group level, even though inter-group coordination might be higher. So such thing has been identified. Similarly, literature on the reasons and the advice. So Morgan 2000 and Wagner 2005 discusses that reason and advice are two important elements of accountability as a part of social and communication for the self-governance. So open question here is, okay, from the prehistoric time of the human civilization, from the age of the ancient Egyptian civilization, we have been doing one thing properly and it has been practiced until today. What is that? That is called accounting. So what is the main idea of accounting? Accounting is the process of keeping the records for the future references. So in a similar manner, why does not current generation become accountable to the future generation? Does such a mechanism make people more concerned toward a future generation when they are not in an overlapping sense? When the generations are not even overlapping, this makes the situation much more complex. And in such a situation, asking a current generation to be accountable, is it going to promote a sustainability? That's what we are going to identify. Okay, what is the punchline of this research? This is the first study to analyze the reason and advice as an accountability mechanism and finds that it is effective at resolving sustainability problem under non-overlapping generation. So the non-overlapping generation, the idea here is very important because it makes the situation much more complex and demanding, because in this case, there is only one way effect that current can affect the future, and there is no communication channel from future to the current. So reason and advice in ISDG function as a part of institution, as intergenerational accountability to enhance intergenerational sustainability. ISDG is a fundamental cause for many environmental and resource problems. And IA as a social device in which each generation is induced to be cooperator by receiving or observing and leaving reason and advice. Okay, now let me explain you. So to identify this, what did we do? We conducted 3 experiments: baseline with the 59th generation, ISDG with the imaginary future generation, because past research on ISDG conducted in Japan and in Bangladesh, they have utilized an imaginary future generation concept as a tool, as a device for resolving intergenerational sustainability dilemma issues. And finally, to compare with that result, we use imaginary future generation treatment as well. And finally, we use intergenerational accountability with the 48th generation. Together with that, we take interview questionnaires and social value orientation gain. This is the study sites. So let me explain in a brief. So three peoples are representative of one generation, and in these 3 people as a representative of one generation, they do the deliberation for the 10 minutes, and they decide for choosing 2 options, option A and B, as you can see in the slide. So choosing option A, they get the resources 3,600, while choosing the B, they get the resource 2,700. So in this case, once first generation, so there are 6 generations in a sequence. However, we never let people know who are the previous generation and who will be the people coming after them. So there is anonymity among the generations. So there is no communication between the generation. In this situation, the first generation, when it makes a decision and choose option A, it maximizes their payoff, definitely. But what happens to the second generation is their resource declined by 900 points. So as A, the second generation can only get 2,700, and by choosing B, the second generation can only get 1,800. Similarly, okay, what happens when the first generation choose option B? But when the first option choose option B, they sacrifices their 900 point resources, and then they give a similar option to the second generation. That is, for A, they get 3,600 and B 2,700. So this is exactly how we have defined the intergenerational sustainability dilemma definition earlier. So this experiment has been administered in the different cities of Nepal. So let's see the results. What happened to the results? So this is a socio-demographic characteristic. So when you look at this baseline, in a baseline ISDG or in IFG and IA, most of the things are very similar. So they are not different with each other. Then, so this shows that our sample is representative of the population of urban cities in Nepal. Then the result, we find out that, okay, in a baseline, 35% choose option A, while in IFG, 29% choose option A, while in IA, only 14% of the generation have chosen option A. So it seems that in IA, several generations have been induced to choose option B. Let's see the trend of generations' sustainable choice. So when you look at this trend, you can clearly see that how IA has been inducing people from the beginning. So as you see in the x-axis, we have a 6th generation, and on the y-axis, we have a 6th generation. On the x-axis, we have a percentage of generation choice of option B. So you can see the percentage of generation choice of option B for the IA, which is very high from the beginning, while such is not for the case of IFG and the baseline. So this clearly shows like how in each sequences, and IA has been inducing people to choose option B from the beginning. Then, to finally statistically confirm our this research, we clustered the standard error in a sequence level, and we run pro-width regression. Then we calculate the marginal effect of independent variables in a with regression for generation choice of B. So looking at this, in this regression, what we can find, what we can see is definitely one of the element that seriously affects people's choice is pro-social member in a group. Next, definitely IA dummy has been significant, and we have run several interaction term and other different models, but the result holds the same. So because of the time limit, I'm not showing you the rest of the results here. So, and finally, I would also like to give you a bit of an idea how does the IA looks like in this and the experiment. So for example, so we have also taken the notes of the people's IA, and then we have presented here as a reason why they choose option B, and then why they choose option A. So the reasons people have stated, generation has stated, is maximize the sum of all generation benefits. So finally, I would like to make a conclusion. So what is the conclusion? What is the takeaway we can have from this experiment is definitely one-way communication of reason and advice, even a non-overlapping generation when this is quite a complex situation. IA seems to be functioning as a social device, not only to transfer a common image, but also decrease social distance over generation for intergenerational sustainability. And definitely, to compare this result with the past literature, several brain scientists, social psychologists, and anthropologists established that communication enhances sympathy and decreases social distance for outgroup members. So we conjecture that this is the one of the mechanisms that IA might have been working to get this result. So these are the references you can see. And thank you very much.